Yo, what's up guys, how's everyone doing? Hope you're all having a fantastic day once again. Quick shout out to Mark in the chat. Hey guys, catching a quick stream while on vacation. Smash those likes. It is great to see that you're tuning in while on your vacation. You clearly have your priorities way out of line, just like me. Funds are Safu. Guys, we've had some very interesting market movements today. I want to help bring some light to this, as I usually do in these technical analysis streams. Hope you guys understand what's going on, bring you into my crazy mind, and explain what I'm seeing right now. And you know, really, there is a lot of blood, and you know, like I always say, because we're so scarred in this market now, we've gone down by about, I don't know, $1,000, around about, you know, that's where we peaked. So, obviously, $1,000 is a pretty substantial drop. I mean, we're talking more than a 10% drop altogether. And it's a little bit difficult, right? I mean, it's made a lot worse just because, like I said, we're so scarred with all of these movements. But I think that a lot of the fear, it's just not justified in this market right now. I mean, if we look at the top here, we're on the 4-hour chart right now, and we didn't have any reversal pattern, really. Potentially, I guess you could say we topped out once, and then we formed a bit of an M shape. Definitely a sign of a reversal, and as you guys know, I have pointed out these M shapes many times before. Let me actually go ahead and draw this out for the viewers that didn't see them before. I mean, this is how these M shapes have typically played out many times in the past. So we have this one here now, and we had a couple others before. Where are they? So yeah, another one over here. You know, we had many of these. I don't think this one counts really, but you know, 1, 2, 3, and I believe there's one more over here. So we have had these formations come up very often, and so of course it is a bearish sign. Really, what it is a sign of bots. So unfortunately, we do still have a lot of bot action. We look at the volume today, and we have dropped a fair bit since yesterday, and obviously these aren't good signs. By the way, guys, can you let me know if the audio is fine? I did a bit of a different setup today. But, you know, like I said, we haven't had any reversal pattern, and so, to me, what I'm seeing here looks like this is all unjustified. I mean, we look at the volume on the whole, and you know, go over to the daily, and it's not huge. I mean, really zoom in here, and you know, we've had a bit of a dip in the volume, now picking up with the dumps, but on volume like this, you consider we have a red day. I mean, that's not confirmation. That, if anything, shows that the bears are weak, and they're not. Okay, audio is good, thank you. It shows that the bears don't have much strength backing them, and really what is going on is that potentially the bulls will step in once the bears are exhausted. And guys, if you bear in mind that's funny, pun unintended. If you bear in mind, we have gone down a little bit, you know, for 2 days straight, 3 days if you consider this crazy wick candle, and so we're not always going to go straight down, we're not always going to go straight up. Now, one thing I want to point out is we've been respecting these Fibonacci levels extremely well. Go ahead and draw this here, and up to the peak. And you can see, I mean, one thing I pointed out last stream is that we have lined up perfectly with our 618 retracement line, and as you guys will know by now, Bitcoin respects these lines very well, and the 618 line is typically how much it retraces. Bitcoin, and in general a lot of other stocks and currencies, will rally, make a 61.8% retracement. Crazy Fibonacci mathematics. I said that correctly, yes I did, and then range up higher again, and so this is not very surprising movement. And if we do look at this 0.236 retracement, the 23.6% retracement, you can see that we bounced off very nicely off this little red line here, and then we went up higher, and then of course the next level we tested, which was today, was the 0.382 line, and so yet again we are respecting these Fibonacci lines. Now the deal here is the next line is 0.5, and there is no resistance or support in this area. I mean, there's been very light trading action. I'm sure you guys will know from the VPVR indicator, which I like to show you quite regularly. There is no real resistance at this 0.550% retracement line, and so what is quite likely, ignore these three boxes for now, is that we'll end up dipping to about 0.618, and really, I mean, we consider this is a very strong support area, and of course, this lines up very well with the potential ETF news. Now, you guys in the Crypto Mafia Gold and VIP channels, link in the description if you're not already there, you will know that, like I said, since we're all expecting the 10th of August, I personally don't really care about it just because it seems so predictable. But, you know, it lines up really well if we're going to get bullish news, and we get it when we fall down to the support zone. And guys, bear in mind, you know, we started this rally from the high 5700s, and so the fact that we're still up here, I mean, I think it's time to get our trusty ruler out and really just put it into perspective. We've gone up 30% from our previous low. I mean, that is a rally. That is life-changing money. It has been for myself and many other VIP members. And so, you know, trades like this, you can make huge amounts of money going long and shorting the, you know, for example, we shorted over here and we went long about here. These kinds of things are very easy to make money off, and so we have to put it into perspective. Okay, we're at 7,500. It's not great considering that we were at 8,500 last week, but in the big picture of things, we're still up 30% from our complete low, and so I think this is quite an important thing to take note of. Now, I have been really stressing that this is not an area to be trading. I said it last stream, I've been saying it in various other places as well, and guys, the reason for that is right now what we're seeing is leverage traders getting absolutely ripped apart. I mean, it's just completely savage and pretty crazy. Leverage traders are being ripped to shreds at the moment, and that is why I have been avoiding the market. I mean, like I said, I've only made a couple trades within the past week, and of course all of them being in profit, and just getting in, getting out very quickly because it's not a safe trading environment. And that way, I have been able to reduce my risks. I mean, the biggest loss I've had is, you know, the loss from 8,500 to where we are now, which is roughly 10%. And you consider the gains I made, it's not too bad. Now, I want to look at this support area and tell you guys why this is not a good area to be trading in, because obviously, we had this very common, easy to spot sort of bear flag rising wedge formation here on the 4 hour, and of course this is something that I did point out, saying that we did have low volume. I'm not sure if I said this on stream or if it was just in the VIP. I forgot now, it's my memory's terrible. But we did have very low volume on these reaction candles going up, and so of course, given that we only did hit our 0.382 retracement line, this is nothing significant, it's only something as a breather. What you could have done here was you know, observe that we're in a bear flag and then go ahead and short it, and you would be in a nice profit. Now, the deal with this is, and the reason I didn't do it, is that the risk was very high, and the reason the risk was high in this case is this is a massive trading zone which we're now dipping into, and yeah, this trading zone, the top of it is 7,500, the bottom is roughly 7,300. I'm going as low as 72 just for that extra leeway, because there are some wicks that went low. But really what we have entered now is an area where, despite the fact that we don't have any Fibonacci support areas here, we have EMA daily support. Let's go ahead and turn that on over to the daily, and you will see, you know, if I zoom in here, we've got, I mean, EMA daily support literally lining up perfectly with this yellow box that I put in. I hope you guys can make this out. It's not very clear at the moment. I'll probably take this off. You can see the top of this EMA ribbon and the bottom of it, bearing in mind this is support. EMA ribbons are incredibly reliable indicators, and it's telling us a very clear story right now. I mean, we have strong support here, and again, you know, we go over to the 4-hour chart with the Ichi cloud, and yet again, we're in a very big support green Ichi cloud, so there is a lot going for the bulls in this range. Yet at the same time, what we are seeing is, as of late, sell volume dominate. We are seeing a lot of FUD. We're seeing a lot of very delicate sentiment and emotions within this space. Now, personally, I don't think the emotions count for very much, because it's delicate going down. It's just as delicate going up. I mean, we pump up $100, $200, and suddenly we're going to be talking about all-time highs again. very simple. I mean, it's just the crypto space. It's a little bit crazy, but you know, you consider that of course we hit this bull flag and sorry, bear flag, and we went down, we broke down, we went or rather we are about to go below the previous low. Of course, it would make sense to short, and that's only, you know, that's if you don't understand the charts, if you don't read these charts. If you have a completely blank chart like this, of course you're going to start shorting here because you don't know what's going on. But if you do look at things with the right perspective, giving yourself the extra tools available to you, for example the ones that I have been showing here in this stream, you will suddenly realize that, okay, I mean, while it may look clear with just this chart, there is a much more conflicting image when you look at the general picture of Bitcoin at the moment. And so that is why I have been staying out of this trading zone. Now I want to take a look at the 3-day chart, and this is something very important, which I did point out very briefly before, not on stream though. And really what this is you guys know about how I talk about the volume being very important. Bitstamp not being the best example of this, but what we did see is when we reached our all-time high, the volume actually did start peaking quite a lot. So I think we'll go over to the Bitfinex chart and just show you that, you know, in a more real sense. The reason I didn't use the Bitfinex chart here is, as you can see, I already have a bunch of my lines here, but you know, just looking at this peak when we reached 20,000, we did have volume peaking quite high. And if you look at this orange moving average for the volume, it does give you an idea of the average volume at these days. And so you can see, I mean, it reached a very, very high level on Bitfinex at this range, and since then, during this downtrend, the volume has been decreasing. And guys, as you will know from the various times I've explained this, when you have volume decreasing within a trend, it actually means that that trend is not going to stick. Volume precedes price, and what that actually means is it's hinting at a reversal. Guys, we know this is the case now, because if I do switch on the log chart and get my lines back on, ignore all of these blue lines, what you will see now is we have broken out of this falling wedge formation. We've got the resistance point with the top here, 17,000, 10,000. We have broken out of that now. We may go ahead and retest it. If we bounce up, that is the most bullish sign ever, and that does actually line up pretty nicely with our $6,800 to $7,000 range. And so we have broken out of this downtrend, and then again, if we do go ahead and look at the volume now, which I will show you on the Bitstamp chart, we have actually seen volume increasing. Okay, so this is actually not a very good chart for the same reason. Go over to the Bitfinex chart and it's a little bit more clear. We have seen volume increasing on the whole. It is visible on the Bitstamp chart, but I'm just realizing now it's not as clear as it is here on Bitfinex. And so what we are seeing is volume picking up. You can see these green volume bars. You really do have to zoom in for this. Let me try and make this very clear. We can see, you know, we have had volume go quite low within these areas. You can even tell by the declining volume moving average. But what we do have now is actually a bit of a plateau, potentially even starting to start a bit of an uptrend here, and volume has really picked up. And you know, one thing to note here is we had a bit of a steady incline in volume, a bit of a dip here, and then a peak. And what we are seeing now is, and guys, bear in mind, this is a 3-day chart. So every candle here represents 3 days of trading. This is not the normal chart that you find on YouTube videos, that you find on Twitter. This is a very, dare I say, abstract chart, because it's not something we're used to seeing. But you bear in mind, I mean, on average, we've had exactly 3 days of green movement for so long, and now suddenly we've got one red-orange candle here, meaning we're going down. This looks like very natural movement. If you consider how we've gone up, I mean, this is a straight ascension up. If anything, I would, and guys, bear in mind, this red candle closes today. It closes, it's 9:45 UTC, so it closes in, I don't know, 3 hours, 2 hours and 2 hours and 15 minutes, and so that is quite close. This candle is going to close, obviously being a very strong red candle, and I would even welcome another period, another 3 days of red movement, just because we've had so much green movement that it would make sense to give us a more of a breather, let this RSI go down to a little bit lower levels. I mean, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the RSI as of late, but you know, I'll still look at it, and we're at 50. We're exactly neutral on the 3-day chart. Potentially let it go a little bit lower and give us more room to go up. I think starting up another 3-day red candle, which would start tomorrow, midnight UTC, like I said, 2 hours and 15 minutes, starting another red candle on the 3-day is not a bad thing. I mean, we're never going to get straight ascensions up, guys. I mean, you bear in mind, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 3 is 15 days of, on average, of green movement. Of course, we're going to have a pretty violent drop, and so the longer we do something like that, the more violent the drop is going to be. We need to see a nice, steady 45-degree ascension like you guys have heard me talk about. And one last thing I want to go over is the inverse chart, and you guys know I like to take a look at this occasionally, just because it gives us a very nice new sort of perspective on the market. Go ahead and bring this chart up. And this is the inverse bid for next chart, and again, using the logarithmic scale, so this means everything works in percentages rather than just raw numbers, and it puts it more into perspective for a very significant trend like Bitcoin. And as you guys know, we're in a, according to this inverted chart, this flips around the y-axis. What we are in is a very long-term downtrend, and what we're seeing right now is a form of a rising wedge, potentially ascending triangle. You can call it anything you like. It is a continuation pattern. It's where we have a dominant trend, and what we have formed now is a pause in that trend before we actually continue with it. And as you guys know now, we have breached our support. We tried to hit this high and rally. We got rejected once, twice, thrice, and then a fourth, potentially even fifth time. Overall, we have seen a triple top. I'm not sure if this test really does count. So a triple top formation here. We have fallen below resistance. We've had volume to confirm that we're actually in a bearish trend now. And really, I mean, once we do fall by this resistance, perhaps we're going to get a few reaction rallies at 10,000, 11,600, and then obviously at 20,000, which was our previous all-time low, according to this chart. It is going to be pretty much a straight free fall downwards, and Quant 45 degrees, you realize that makes no sense. It makes a lot of sense. You should probably do some research on that, my friend. But with this continuation pattern, really what this is telling us is we're going to go straight down. But this doesn't tell us the whole story. I mean, this is a very nice picture to look at right now. It does show us that, you know, we've gone down quite a lot. We are forming a bit of a reaction rally, but really, obviously, since we have broken support, it's not a very big deal. It does mean that this rally won't hold, but of course we do have to look at the bearish scenarios as well, and see what the deal is over there. And if I do look at the Ichimoku cloud here on the 1 day for the inverted chart, again it's the same thing as the real chart. It just helps you remove any bias. And what this is telling us right now is we've had our very long-term downtrend. We've respected our Ichimoku cloud many times throughout this trend. I mean, red cloud here, we got rejected, tested it again, rejected, tested it, went a bit higher, rejected. I mean, you know, literally every time we tested it, we got rejected. And what we are seeing now is once this cloud has turned into a support cloud, we bounced off it once over here, a second time, and now a third time as well. We did form a W formation, which, as you guys know on the real chart, is an M formation. And so this is very supportive in favor of the bulls in this case, because it does mean we have found support. And you look at how reliable the Ichimoku cloud has been literally for years, plural, not just 1 year. This is a very significant bounce off and potentially foreshadowing that we could go much further. One more thing to note is, like I said, this is a rising wedge or ascending triangle. It's not very clear because typically ascending triangles are bullish patterns. They could even be reversal patterns, and so what we are looking at is potentially a reversal. And with I mean, seeing as we've dropped support, it's not very likely, but we have found support in this Ichimoku cloud, and just given how reliable it is definitely possible that this was a fake break, and then we will actually go much higher. And of course, in that case, in our case rather, that does mean seeing levels like, you know, 4,000, 3,000 once again. Now, the reason I'm not giving that much credit is this breakout has actually been confirmed with volume. It's not very clear again on one-day chart, but we go over to the 3-day and we are seeing that volume has really increased with this break of our trend. And so obviously when you do see volume increasing when you have price movement, that does actually confirm that trend. And so we've only got one potentially bullish factor on this chart, but everything else telling us we are going to be bearish. And really this is the inverted chart, so everything I've just said applies to our real chart over here. And this is why is all hope lost for Bitcoin? I don't think so. I think that really there hasn't even been any news backing this sell-off that we've seen with Bitcoin. It's been really out of nowhere. I mean, there are a couple things that people talk about, like you know, a Korean company being audited, or you know, China FUD. I mean, you can throw anything. I mean, there's FUD every day. But if you're trying to search for different news articles and say this is the reason we're going down, then you know very clearly that there is no reason we've gone down. This is a combination, in my opinion, from where I'm seeing things, and of course none of this is financial advice, but this is showing us that we are actually, I forgot my train of thought. Yes, we haven't, we've only fallen because of bot action and the psychological, you know, issues here. You know, the fact that there's a lot of fear in this market right now, and so it's driving prices very strongly in these directions. But really, there is no reason for it, and I'm seeing a lot of very bullish. You know, I just don't see how we can start another year or continue with another year, potentially a little bit more of a downtrend, given how everything is so strong in this space right now. I mean, all the fundamentals, like I say, every stream, they get stronger every day. And so because of that, it just doesn't make sense to me that we are going to start a very long-term downtrend. But of course, that is subject to change. I've seen a couple people talking to me about how I flip my perspective every day. And if you don't watch the streams properly, you guys being in this for now 21 minutes, obviously this doesn't apply to you, but we can laugh at them together. And it is that, you know, yesterday the title I put out was, are we going to go down to 6,000? A question, not a statement. And yet again, a question here today: is all hope for Bitcoin really lost? This time questioning, you know, I'm pretty sure we still have hope. That's basically what I've said here. And of course, people who just watch maybe the first 2 minutes or just read the title because they're a little bit lazy, perhaps don't understand the big words, whatever the deal is, they suddenly like to assert that I flip my perspective all the time. And a note to everyone sticking around right now, extremely awesome viewers, if you can smash those likes up real quick, being able to change your perspective, you know, on an hourly, daily basis is incredibly useful. We get new information daily. This is why I jump onto these streams daily. I can do them daily because these markets move so quickly. And if you're not able, you know, if you don't want to change your perspective just because you're stubborn, because you don't want people saying things like, well, you changed your mind too many times, so I'm not going to listen to you. It's fucking pathetic. If that's the reason you won't be able to change your mind, maybe you don't want to be proven wrong, you're going to have a very hard time in this market because things change very quickly. And if you're not able to adapt, you're going to be one of the many people that did get liquidated today and the days prior. I mean, you know, what we are seeing in this space is a lot of recklessness at the moment. We've had a very long time of not ideal trading situations, and so people are starting to take a lot of very, you know, in my opinion, stupid risks. Of course, like I say, none of this is financial advice, but people going all in, even on positions and trading on leverage right now in these kinds of climates. I mean, guys, like I said, we've got a lot of bearish factors right now, and of course the 618 retracement down to 6800s is definitely well on the cards. But at the same time, we have a lot of bullish factors that are potentially stopping forgot my point again. A lot of bullish factors that could, potentially stop downwards movement even within this range right now. I mean, we could find the bottom right now and then pump up again, just given how much trading happened in this range. I mean, we look back to previous price levels, of course, turn on the VPVR indicator now, and it becomes very clear very quickly. Go ahead and do that. You know, there is a lot of trading action within this range. I mean, this is a huge area of support, and you can see it much clearer now. Let's take off this Ichi cloud. I'm sure this is getting a little bit overwhelming, but you know, we've got huge support at 6,000. Where am I looking? 6,800 here. We've got huge support in the 70 3,7,200 to 7,500 range, and so, you know, I just think this is not the time to be trading. I mean, we're getting a million different signals from a million different things. You know, just take a quick look at the alt market before I do go into your questions real quick. And you know, once again, we are seeing Bitcoin dominance rise just a little bit from yesterday. We have seen some money spread out from Bitcoin into alts, but not too much. And on the whole, Bitcoin down 2.7% and everything else doing worse than Bitcoin yet again. I think there's no point in me. I mean, Ripple up 1% because of the Bill Clinton thing, I guess, but I just don't think there's any point in me looking at these alts really anymore. I'm tired of saying I'm right. I'm tired of saying I told you so. I think we all get the point. Alts are very much a lost cause at the moment because Bitcoin does need to show very strong signs of strength before alts can rally. That is my TA done for the stream, so I am ready to go through your questions. I do have to leave a little bit earlier this stream, so if we can blaze through them real quick, that would be pretty dope. A lot of talk about Ripple. Let's stick to Bitcoin in this chat a little bit. I want to go through your questions now. And how low can Bitcoin go? I think that's not a good question to be asking at the moment. You know, 6,800, I guess. You probably missed a lot of the stream if you're asking that, so you should probably rewind. Price will pump because of 450 million OKX liquidation for them to cover the losses. Stuart, I don't really think that has much to do with the trend at the moment. I have kept up with the news, but I just don't think it's very important. How come you see blue-red instead of green-red candles? That would drive me crazy. Well, Cam Mason, I have been staring at green and red candles for more than a year when I first joined the crypto space, so I decided to change it up and give you blue and orange to look at instead of green and red, just to make it a little bit more interesting and potentially easier on the eyes. I think that if you have red, red is not a very nice color for the brain. Red, you know, being stop, being a lot of different emotions, anger, maybe even love. I just don't like psychologically having red on my charts. For volume, it's okay because I don't really look at it. But for the basic candles, I think orange is a lot more pleasing. Do you think it's market manipulation pushing the price down so institutions can buy up at lower prices upon ETF announcement? Well, Parul, this has been the common line of defense for the entire crypto market. Institutions are just driving it lower so they can accumulate cheaper, and I think this is a bit of a victim mindset. I used to agree with it, but not so much anymore. I think this is it's a lot of it is organic movement. I've seen a couple theories being thrown around that perhaps they're making the market very difficult, so retail investors leave, and then the big players have a couple months, maybe a year, to accumulate very cheap and then pump it up. Look, I mean, we're talking about a lot of ifs. We're talking about this has to happen so that this can happen, so that this can happen, and it all gets very tangled up. I mean, if you're having a lot of ifs followed by ifs that are dependent on the previous ifs, you get into a very problematic situation. So do I think it's market manipulation? Probably, but I don't really care. It's not. I don't think that's the right thing to be focusing on in this case. If it hits 6,800, isn't 99% likely that it will pop for at least a little bit, so set buy order now? Israel's blessing? I don't know what you mean by pop for at least a little bit. I think we will definitely see some sort of a green reaction rally once we do hit 6,800, whether or not that means we go up to 8,000 or 6,900 and then top out. I don't have that answer, unfortunately, but 6,800 is a very strong level. It's the 618 retracement line. That is, if any other level, 68 is the safe place to open up a trade. And of course, if I do, I will be telling you guys first and foremost in VIP and then potentially in gold as well as soon as it happens. Can I make a video about using volume as an indicator? DGMR, I am actually doing that. That is prioritized on my list, although I did say the same thing for VPVR. I have been extremely busy, but thankfully I'm going to have a lot of free time now starting from tomorrow and going on for the next decent while. So I will be able to get working on those videos very soon. Four Flies, what is the price at which you will become a bear? CJ, that price for me will be 5,700. Actually, no, it would probably be 6,000. and 6,800. If we dip below 6,800 and we close below it on the daily, that's a very bearish sign. But like I said, I'm willing to flip my perspective if the market is telling me to do so. And at the moment, the market is telling me to stand way back and let the idiots get liquidated and protect my capital. Why would they waste a year to get to 3k when they can go above 12 just as easily? That is a very good perspective. Thank you for bringing that up. That theory makes no sense. Big boys don't care how cheap they buy. They just trade. Jurgen, I mean, I hope I said your name right right there, because you brought up an amazing point. And yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going to take a lot of work to bring look at the fundamentals. It'll take a lot of work to take Bitcoin down to $3,000. And is it worth it? I mean, right now they pump it up 4 times and that's $28,000, or they pump it up 4 times from 3,000 and that takes it up to 12. I'm not sure if that's the point you were making, but of course it's going to be fairly difficult. So are you bearish or bullish for the next 2 days? Mika, you've missed the point of the whole stream. Please rewind and watch it. Rally a few hundred, at least $100. Yeah, very, very likely. Is VPVR going to hold us here? Mr. B, I do think that the VPVR indicator is giving us some very solid support in this range. And so, as I said, that could mean it's the bottom. Probably not, but it could. And the risk is a bit too high, so I don't know. Do you think Bitcoin and altcoins will be back to their golden times again? I think eventually there is a very good chance that Bitcoin will see a golden age. Altcoins, it depends which one. For most of them, I think they're going to die off. For a select few, probably, maybe. I'm not banking on it though. I mean, I just that's not my perspective. I mean, it's to trade what's going to happen in the next day or two, 3 days max. So while I do give you a quick an overview of the long-term outlook, like I showed you with the inverse chart and the 3-day chart, that is as far as I go, and it is only for that one perspective in terms of the long term, because my long-term analysis is not very good, save for that one thing, which I have been looking at for literally months now, 2-3 months now. Four flies out long at 6,800 without leverage in Coinbase. Should I sell now? That is completely up to you, Eduardo. Please do not ask me for financial advice. How do I join VIP? Go ahead and click the link in the description, t.me/cryptomafia gold, and there is an instruction below that link for how to join. That is the only way to join VIP. Four flies, you're a nice guy and I really like you. Keep up the work and have fun. Thank you very much, Yusuf. I will obviously plan to keep up the good work, but I do appreciate those comments. It is obviously very nice to read things like that, because it's a little bit difficult in times like this. I always preach this good practice of standing back and evaluating the risk, but I'm subject to all of the same FOMO FUD that you guys are. A lot of the time it hits me as well. I've just learned to cope with it, because one thing I like to say quite a lot, I posted it on my Twitter over here: think of every trading mistake you've made. I've done it 10 times more. Failure precedes success. And really, I mean, a lot of people are going to be talking about the bad mistakes they've made and feeling sorry for themselves, but I guarantee I've made the same and worse mistakes more times than you have as well. In many cases. It took me a very long time to learn. But of course it has been worth it. Do you think trading alts in for Bitcoin is a wise move at the moment? No, I don't. Major bullish sentiment flipped completely. It did. Okay, guys, yeah, with that, I am going to be signing off. We have had support breaking a little bit, but, like I said, I think people talking about it dumping have missed the entire point of this stream. I am going to be signing off. I have ran over a little bit late for what I intended to do for the stream. Guys, if you have enjoyed this stream, please make sure to smash up those likes. Join the Telegram channel if you haven't already. Subscribe, tick the bell so you don't miss out on these uploads. But guys, with that, it has been an absolute pleasure. I do love getting on streams with you guys, and I have bought some new equipment for these streams so that I can make sure I do them every single day. And I am very excited to be doing a lot more weekend streams as well. So guys, with that, once again, it has been a pleasure, and I'm out. Peace.